DS.attr before, and we've given it the type, but we may not have completely understood what that data type was doing. What it does is it triggers a transform. So when you use DS.attr without a type, then it'll just pass through the information directly. But when you add in a type, it'll do a transform. And today we're going to be talking about how transforms work, the 4 built-in transforms, and different ways that you can add your own transforms. So from the documentation, we can see that the 4 transform types are string, number, boolean, and date. Let's look at those in a bit more detail. So here's our boolean transform, and we can see that it extends from the transform class, and then it has a deserialize and a serialize method. So what the deserialize method does, so first it gets the type of whatever you're passing it. And if that type is Boolean, it just passes it straight on through. If it's a string, it matches to see if it says true, or t, or 1. 1 can be true in various languages like C. And then number, it'll also check for 1. Otherwise, it'll return false. So it goes through a series of steps to find anything that could match to true. And if it doesn't find that, it returns false. So that's how it's able to turn strings and numbers into Booleans. And then on the way back up, during serialize, it turns it into a Boolean object. A similar process is undergone for the other 3. So with date, it's going to get the type, and once again, it's going to process it differently based on whether it's a string or a number or something else. Then, when it's sending it back up to the server with the serialize method, it's going to check to see if it's a date, and if it is, then it's going to use the toIsoString method, which will turn it into the ISO format as a string. Otherwise, it's just going to return null. And if it didn't have this, then this would throw an error when date was null. And we'll see that the checking for null happens quite a bit. That's actually most of what's happening here in number, and all of what's happening here in string. So those are the 4 that come built in, and honestly, they cover most of the use cases. But if you need more, you can make your own. So what you do is you create a transforms folder within your app, and then you create a file with the name of the transform. So to use this, you do ds.attr temperature. So if we had this in our app, this is what it would look like. All right, and so we have our deserialize and serialize methods, just like we had in our basic 4. And then we return whatever the result is of the calculations that we want to do. And once again, remember while you're doing this, deserialize is coming from the server. Serialize is going back up to the server. So like I said, the basic 4 cover most of what you need. And the reason that I'm doing this example from the guides is because I couldn't think of one that one of my apps needed. But of the ones that aren't covered, there are some fairly common cases, and those typically get put into add-ons, and mostly they're around different types of dates. This one, for example, makes sure that all your dates that are coming in are put onto the UTC time zone instead of the local time zone. And so that's it for transforms. Before we go, I did want to mention that this is one instance of the adapter pattern. And if you want to see these, as well as several other types of adapter patterns used within Ember data, you could do worse than checking out this EmberConf 2015 talk by Godfrey Chan. All right, good luck with your transforms, and I'll see you next time.